How does training relate to employee development? By the end of this video, you're going to see how employee training and development is frankly a non-negotiable if you want a business that can run and grow with or without you. Are you one of those business owners who just thinks training's just like, it's just an expense, it's not an investment, or is training kind of the first thing to go when money gets tight? Or you might be one of those owners that are like, yeah, we don't even really train, honestly. We just sort of throw them to the wolves and hope they can learn how to swim on their own. There's an old adage that says this, and this is such good wisdom. It says, train a child in the way that they should go, and when they grow up, they won't depart from it. And so you can take that and actually apply that to the employee setting. I'm not calling your employees your children. It's not the connection I'm trying to make. But the reality is, if you begin to train your team in the way that they should go, as they grow into their role, they won't depart from that. They'll start to really lean into that. Or you will learn over time that they're just not a good fit. So it's actually a really good tool to help you understand who's the right fit and who's not the right fit. I actually did a really good video on this that if you click that link in the description below, it'll talk about the employee fit within and how to find those new employees that you can begin to train and develop. I want to give you a leadership principle that I think you can take with you. In fact, I'd encourage you to write this down. Ready? Your leadership will grow in direct proportion to your willingness to say, I don't know, to a question you clearly know the answer to. Did you get that? I'm going to repeat that. Your leadership will grow in direct proportion to your willingness to say, I don't know, to a question. Come on, man, we all know that you know the answer to that question. The truth is, you know an answer to the question. Unless you're a rocket scientist or a neurosurgeon or something like that, most of us in reality as business owners, we know an answer to the question. It's the way we prefer. But could there be 2 or 3 ways of doing a particular thing? Yeah, it could be. And in fact, with some innovation over time, you might find out that your employees can actually do it better, more effectively, if you'll just equip them and allow them space and the accountability to be able to run. So your willingness will grow in direct proportion, your willingness to say, I don't know, to things you clearly know the answer to. Also, when you say, I don't know to that, what you're doing, and when you apply that with training, obviously, is you are now equipping others. We've got a leadership definition that we built out, and the first part says this. Leadership is the equipping of people with knowledge tools, so taking the tools out of your head and putting them into the kind of this tool belt, so that they can manage perennial problems. Notice problems are not going away, they're perennial, they come out. There's a statement that says this, you have an enemy, it's like a roaring lion, prowling, looking to devour you. And so we got this enemy, we call it chaos in our business, and chaos comes out of the woods, it tries to attack you. And what leadership does is equips people with knowledge tools to be able to manage that chaos, manage that problems, which is just going to go back in the weeds and come back. We will never eliminate chaos while we're here on this earth. The reality is what we will do with chaos is learn how to manage it and even barrier against it to some degree. But we can't do it without training, and we can't do it without the humility of going, I don't know, you're going to have to figure this out, even though I've equipped you with the tools to be able to go figure that out. But that's what we've got to make sure. Have we equipped them with the tool to be able to do that? So how do you get better at this? How can you equip your team? Jim Rohn had an adage and he said this, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. We had a group of guys that used to meet with our house every Tuesday night. There's a bunch of high schoolers would come over to our house for about 6 years in a row. And we would talk every Tuesday night. We'd go play some dumb games and have some fun. We'd eat together. And when we'd sit around a fire pit and we would talk about real stuff. Real life. And one of the things that we talked to them about a lot is you were the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But I would always riff on it a little bit more and say you are also the average of the 5 foods you eat, 5 songs you listen to. We could go on and on and on about that, right? So looking at your peer group of business owners and who are you spending time around, are they investing in their people? If they're not, there's a high likelihood you won't either. Now, let me rephrase this whole thing. If you're the average of the 5, here's what I'll say about your employees. They are the average of the training that they receive. And who are they receiving that from? You. You can't outsource all of your training. In fact, if you go to one of my other videos, I'll walk you through how to build your own training program from in-house sources. You don't have to outsource it in third-party voices, and it can become your own. But your employees are the average of the training they receive, and you are the responsible one as the chief training officer of your business to make sure that they receive it. So if we want to develop our employees, training is the way to do it. And that development will happen whether you do it or not. What do I mean by that? Well, it's kind of like our kids. Our kids will be led and parented. The question is, are you going to be the parent or are you going to allow the culture around you to be their parent? And so if you want to be in charge of that parenting, that discipling, that leading, that shepherding, then you're going to have to take ownership of it. But if you don't mind what the rest of the world or culture around you is going to do with your child, then just kind of abdicate your responsibility and move on. The same thing happens with business owners. We need to be in a mindset that says, you know what? There's going to be a lot of other outside voices coming in. I want to be the dominant voice that they hear when it comes to leadership and development and developing each team member, because that's going to align with our vision. So we always teach business owners that every business has 4 foundational cornerstones: purpose, people, process, and profit. Within that purpose vertical, we talk about the vision, mission, and values. So that's detailed snapshot of the future, mission, why we're doing what we're doing, values, the decision filters we make along the way. And then the cultural element of that. How do we actively build culture, not just cross our fingers around that idea of culture? Well, the people vertical is what you've got to commit to say, hey, I'm going to invest in these people. How can I do that? Through articulating great purpose so that they know where we're going. There's another phrase that says, write the vision down so that those who read it may run. You know what that means? Is they'll run to wherever you write down, or they'll run away. But you'll get clarity on who you've got on your team because you're actively investing into them. Training is like a sword. It's divisive. Those who buy into it will buy in. But those who do not, they will walk out eventually. And frankly, you want to know who those are. Training can help you get there. I want to go back to that meeting that I had with those guys at my house. Super important to be able to look at that real life situation. And here's what I'll tell you. After 6 years of laying down some groundwork of repetitive, predictable, and meaningful training around those young men that came to my house, you could see as soon as they graduated the ones that took to what we trained, and you could see the ones that did not. And unfortunately, some didn't. But that's how it's always going to happen. In fact, with your employees, some will take. They will lean into your training. They will want to do the hard, challenging things. Because you're repetitive, predictable, and meaningful, the RPMs of great leadership, you're going to lay a groundwork to where a team member can lean in or they can opt out. And again, we want to know what both of those are so that we can make decisions moving forward. And so by developing people, training helps you do that, but the development is not just the successful employee, it's also the one that you know doesn't need to be in the business anymore. It can be a good, helpful, divisive line, this idea of employee training. So if you want to grow a team, you must train, and you must train with repetition, predictability, and meaning. Please do not just train one time and call it done. Too many business owners are hiring an outside firm to come in and do a 3-day training or a half-day training or a 1-week training. It gets everybody fired up and motivated, and then it leaves them frustrated within 3 to 4 weeks because you're not doing anything to follow up with that repetitively, predictably, and meaningfully. Make a list of what you want to develop a team member on, and then work over it every single week with repetition, predictability, and meaning. I have created a great video that I think will be super helpful for you on the nuts and bolts on how to develop an employee training program. So just click on the link in the description below. I want you to take action on that. My name is Scott Beebe. We work with business owners just like you to help build out your purpose, your people, your process, and your profit so that you can be liberated from chaos, to make time for the things that matter most.